Cedar Hill, they've been inside the 5-yard line a few times and have had turnovers or penalties, and ended up coming away empty-handed. So it's not like they've just been not moving the ball.
Okay, next up in the game recaps, boy, this was a battle royale. Argyle and La Vega, 31-29.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry Lancaster says y'all need some Argyle decor. Hey, we do have it. It's a little tighter this year. Actually, I'm looking at an Argyle helmet right there.
Argyle helmet.
So we'll get Coach Todd Rogers back, and we'll display the helmet. We'd like to honor the helmet for the coach that comes in the studio. We'll have Coach Rogers in, and we'll put the Argyle helmet up. Larry Lancaster, how about that?
So about this Argyle game, listen to this. I don't know if you saw this, but Bo Hogaboom, who had such an incredible game the first week, the new quarterback, started this game 0 for 14. 0 for 14
wow.
Passing. He just kept throwing. He ended up throwing the ball 42 times. He only completed 13 of them, but he led them on a comeback. They were down, I think 2 scores late in the fourth quarter. Ended up scoring, getting the ball back again with about 2.5 minutes left, and scored with 22 seconds to go to win the game. They outscored La Vega 14-0 in the fourth quarter to win by 2 points. I mean, this was a heavyweight matchup of the highest order. I mean, Argyle was number 1. I think La Vega was number 3 in the state. La Vega, of course, is the team that beat Argyle in the state championship game in 2015. All the seniors on Argyle's team were freshmen then, so I don't know how much actual hard feelings there is there with the players, but it definitely was a highly anticipated game, and it lived up to the billing. I mean, it looked like the La Vega was going to pull it out early. I mean, they led by as much as 15-3 in the second quarter, and Argyle just kept plugging away, and scored the game winner with 22 seconds left. So, Argyle remains undefeated. Has by far, I think, the best resume in the state, beating Stephenville and Waco La Vega in the first 2 weeks. I mean, those are 2 top 5 teams.
Hey, you mentioned when I was retreating from the South Dallas area due to the weather and I wasn't feeling great, you said, hey, you should go over to the Argyle game. And I said, man, by the time I get there, it'll be like the third quarter. And you said, hey, it hadn't even started yet. Yeah, I think bad weather again for them.
I think they started about 8:30 or 9 too. So everyone was kind of in the same boat on Friday night, except for Lake Dallas, obviously, because they were in the friendly confines of the Star. But it was a wild weekend, and that game was kind of the highlight of it. So,
hey, before we bring up Coach Michael Young, I got some pictures up at Verf's. I didn't show those. I didn't give them justice earlier, but let's bring them up. All right, there is Verf's Grill and Tavern. Mic check. All right, Kyle. Good. All right. Let me add this. We are going to be there. Boedeker's got me all confused.
You have me confused.
Either the September the 29th or November 3rd. I think it's September 29th, but we'll confirm that here in just a little bit. But there's the patio we'll be at. Man, we were there last year with Greg Tepper and a couple coaches. Man, we had a huge brunch crowd. Again, 10 a.m. on Saturday, the 29th of September. And again, November 3rd, if you're marking your calendars, it's a great way to kick off the holidays with a brunch, start the shopping season, all that good stuff there in Highland Village. And let me see if I can bring up one more picture there, Boedeker. There it is, Verf's Grill and Tavern. Always good stuff. All right. Well, hey, let's bring on Coach Michael Young, Lake Dallas Falcons. Let me see if we can bring him up here. All right. Welcome in studio, head coach Michael Young. How are you, Coach?
Oh, great. Glad to be here.
Good to have you back again.
Thanks.
Well, we know you had a long day.
Want to put the helmet on?
No, I think that's a little small for my head.
Yeah. I'm with you.
We'll try to put it on Boedeker's head.
There's no way it would fit
no
me.
way
I
it's going to
guarantee
fit
you
there
that.
either.
Yeah.
Coach, is there a high school helmet that would fit Boedeker's head?
I have one in there. We have one in the locker room.
You probably get some big
Triple X
linemen
or
over the
something?
years.
It's one or two kids have worn it in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know in middle school football, I think I wore an extra large. That was the biggest they had, and it was even a little bit small. But
you got any video? I'd like to get some game film of that. What do you think? We could break it down on the show, Coach.
Probably 8mm tape.
Pretty close.
Yeah, that's
definitely wasn't digital. I know that. Talking early 90s here.
Well, hey, folks, again, we got Coach Young joining us. Give us a comment or question about Lake Dallas. Also, let us know if you can hear our audio good. We always like to hear that. Chris V's on here, says, hey, go Mean Green. He does a lot of good stuff up there at C.H. Collins and all that good stuff. So, hey, let's jump right into it, Boedeker. I know you've got, as always, very well prepared when we have coaches on, and I know you spent hours upon hours doing your homework. And Coach Young, you've worked with Boedeker for many, many years, and you can attest to his passion for Texas high school football and all he does for the community.
Award-winning rider.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, Boedeker,
Good,
give me the $50.
some people remember it.
You asked me to say that, so give me that $50 you promised.
Yeah, I don't have any money. I'm a writer, so first of all, I gotta tell you, you can't look at this sheet because it has the questions on it. I don't want you.
Oh, he can't read that. No way.
I can't read that.
Okay.
I'm too old to read that small.
Well, first off, I mentioned it a minute ago. Just last year's game against Frisco Centennial was one of the wildest, craziest classics you'll ever see. I mean, I believe it won Homer Call of the Year on Bad Radio on the ticket. But you had the come from behind onside kick, game-winning field goal, just all kinds of. I think there was a penalty or something happened, and their coaches thought the game was over. You were, I don't remember what it was, but it was just one of the wilder games I've ever covered. You faced them again, and it was another close game. I mean, just talk about that game and what y'all were able to do to pull out another win and improve to 2-0.
Well, we actually played a lot better this year than last year, and we had a couple. I think once in the first quarter or the first half, and again in the second half, we were up 17. And if we'd got one more stop and one more score, I think we would have sealed it. We just never were able to do it. But the good thing about games like that in non-district is getting your kids used to close games, used to what that's like at the end. It's a lot different than any other part of a game. And for us to move the ball, get the first downs, to close it out was a big deal. That's what you need to be able to do. We're going to have games like that later this year in district. So that's great experience for our kids.
You start district a little earlier than normal coming up this week in week 3 instead of the traditional. A lot of teams get 3 non-district games. You only got 2 this year. I know that was part of the reason you didn't do spring ball. What are your thoughts on starting district earlier and kind of jumping into games that matter quicker this year? Has it been an adjustment, or is it just 1 week earlier?
Well,
no big deal?
Yeah, the extra scrimmage helped and the extra week of practice. So that's kind of why we did this. It's totally different. Week 3 teams are totally different 5 or 6 weeks from now.
Right.
So that's just the way football is. But I'm glad that we're playing well. We're playing pretty good. They are too. So It's not like either one of us are kind of stumbling out of the blocks and having to play a big game. So we're both playing good football. So it ought to be a good game. But it's also a week 3 game. So there's going to be a lot of games after this and a lot of improvement and a lot of different things that are going on during the rest of the season.
Obviously you're talking about the game Friday against Frisco Reedy, who is the team that y'all knocked out of the playoffs last year in the first round. And that was, I think they were in first year varsity program last year.
That was their second
year. They're a new school, up and coming program. I think there's a Pigskin Prep poll, I think, has y'all ranked 15th in the state, and they're ranked 12th. It's a big game early on in district. I mean, like you said, is this the type of game where you would rather be? Is there any preference on whether you'd be playing them later, where you're more polished, or does that just mean they're more polished too?
Well, yeah, I think we always like to play those games later in the year, but we're both in the same boat, so it's no real advantage to either one of us, and we have to play it when we play it. But I am glad that we're playing well, because sometimes we don't always get off to the fastest start, and we played really well the first week against Denton High and didn't have a lot of mistakes. Even last week we played well. We had some missed tackles that were a little bit of a problem, but other than that we played pretty well too. So we're ready to play it for sure.
Coach, I had a chance to catch up with you the last 2 weeks after your victories. And, boy, it's just got to be awesome to be in the field house after starting off 2-0. Your team's healthy. Everybody's playing well. Man, that's got to be exciting.
Yeah, it's a good start. And but like I said, that our kids are experienced too. We have a lot of third-year starters this year, so they understand that week 3 and week 8 or 9 are a big difference. And whether we win or lose this game, there's a lot of football left to be played. And the real key is you want to get better every week and be playing your best football at the end of the season. That's when it matters. So, but this is a big game, and we hope to come out on top.
You did beat them last year in the playoffs. It was come from behind victory at the Star. What do you remember seeing from them in that game last year, and what can you take from that game moving into this year? I know it's a different year, but that's a new school, and they probably have a lot of the same players back. I'm guessing it's a pretty similar team to the one you saw last year.
Yeah, it's very similar, and we're very similar. So there's not going to be a lot of surprise. They kind of, what they did to us last year in the playoffs and hurt us early was the big play in the passing game, and that's kind of what they've been doing so far the first 2 weeks. Against Plano West. I think they were ahead 40-6 at half.
Yeah,
crazy. And then they beat a really good Colony team last week, and we know they're good. We played them a lot of times,
right.
And I got to see that game in person. So they get a lot of big plays in the passing game. That's what hurt us last year against them. So that's stuff that we've got to get fixed, and they do a good job of kind of scheming you to get people open, and that's what we got to clean up there. And they have a really good front that we have to protect our quarterback.
Big on both sides.
Yeah, they're really they're a 6'8" team size wise. If you see them on the hoof for sure, and a good 6'8" team. So that's going to be our challenge up front against both sides of the ball.
As a head coach, you've had some really good quarterbacks in your career there at Lake Dallas. Obviously James Franklin, Dalen Williams, both went on and made it to NFL camps as a quarterback. How nice is it to have Ryan Depperschmidt, a 3-year starter? He's like I said earlier, he's got to be the best, most experienced quarterback in this area this year. Lots of teams are playing with new quarterbacks, and y'all are fortunate to have a 3-year starter. What's it mean to you to have him back there and just that leadership?
Well, in today's age of football, quarterback is the big deal. That's it in college. It's the same way in the NFL. You got to have quarterbacks to be consistent, to consistently win. So, and he's a good player. He takes care of the ball. He runs the ball. If anything, he drives me crazy. He hangs on the ball too much because he wants to make plays and takes a lot of hits. But he's a tough competitor, and I think that's probably the best thing about him is he gets the kids around him. When your toughest guy is your quarterback,
right,
your team's going to be tough, and so that's one of the best things that I think he brings to our football team.
I remember last year I had the chance to cover all of y'all's games, and I just remember y'all's offensive line had some issues last year, and there were a few games where he just took an absolute beating, and he just kept getting up and making plays. I mean, he's got to be one of the bigger gamers, quote unquote gamers at quarterback that I've ever seen. I mean, like you said, how does that rub off on everyone? Not even just the team. I mean, the coaching staff, you got to have faith in them when you see how tough he is. The fans,
it's a rallying point for our team, our staff, our community, everybody. So, and when like I said, when your quarterback is the tough guy that leads you and will keep getting up and keep battling and that's what football is about. We're going to play a lot of close games, so you have to be able to be tough and find a way to win them at the end when you're tired and you're beat up. And when your quarterback's leading that, it makes it a lot easier.
And Coach, we talked after the game Friday. Depperschmidt, great baseball player as well. He decided not to play on his summer team, spend time in the weight room during the off season, gain some strength, and it's really paying dividends.
Oh yeah, the extra 15 pounds of muscle is really going to help him in just his conditioning through the season and the bumps and the bruises will make a big difference for him.
You had some up and downs last year throughout the season, but do you think this team is, as far as teams that you've coached, is it one of the most well set up teams for a deep playoff run, especially with the 5A split this year and how much that's going to be helping y'all with the enrollment size?
Well, I think the thing that we have is we're really balanced. We have a good secondary. We're good up front on defense. We can throw the ball. Our running game, we've rushed for 200 yards in both the first 2 games, which is a big deal for us. If we're able to rush for 200 yards, we're going to score 40 points.
Yeah, y'all don't do that very often.
No, and if we run for 200, we're probably going to score 40 points no matter what, who we're playing against. So just balance-wise all the way across, we're really balanced, probably as much or more than any other team. And I think defense is kind of what's at times we've kind of had to outscore people in the playoffs. That's a hard way to go through that